Trust. Do you have it? Do you display it? Do you believe it? Do you trust? Trust. Trust is a topic that is very hard for people to address. Trust is an action that is very hard for people to do, to give, to have. Trust should be innate and involuntary as a human, but unfortunately, we get in front of ourselves, in front of others, in front of life, and sadly to say, even in front of God. These are all three areas with yourself, with others, with life, and with God that you should not only have trust in, but you should lead with trust in all of those areas. So all the other areas in your life, you can trust in. On tonight's episode, the third episode of the third season of Sentimental Value Podcast, we are going to have a serious, in-depth conversation about trust. Do you trust me? Let's see, and let's go. Hi, guys, and welcome back to Sentimental Value Podcast. I am your host, sincerely, Cedrinna, and tonight's episode is a really, really good episode. I know I say that all the time because it really is, but tonight we're going to have a conversation that doesn't make people feel so good, which is the topic of trust. What is trust? When should we have it? When should we give it? Do we know how to trust ourselves? Is that a display of how we trust others? Do we trust anything or do we trust everything? Trust is something that we have to conquer on level 1 in order to get to the other levels. Because there is no way, and I'm going to say it here, you heard it here first, or if you've heard it time and time again, let tonight be the last time you hear it, because let tonight be the night that you trust what I am telling you and you trust what you already know. Trust is something that I had to learn how to do. I had to learn that trust isn't always a thing that is earned. It should innately be given. And most of the time it is. And then something happens, it creates a mistrust, and then you make that your standard. But when mistrust becomes your standard, we always talking about robbing ourselves of the right. You are literally holding yourself hostage. And you think when you don't trust others or you don't trust certain situations, you think it's doing more harm to the other person and the other situation, and it's ultimately just doing harm in yourself, okay? Trust is something that I am forever working on, right? But it is something that I really do believe in. It's something that I really want to give others and give myself. And I know if you're here tonight, if you're listening on our auto streaming platforms, right? Shout out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or if you are literally looking at me while I'm looking at you, right? Shout out to the YouTube family. Click subscribe if you already aren't. You need to know, 1, this is a safe space. 2, this is a space, the SVP family, right? Sentimental Value Podcast is a platform that is safe, that will entertain you, that will educate you, but it's also a place, again, I say this time and time again, it's not the place for you to see more of me. It's the place for you to see, hear, feel, and believe and trust more of you. So let's get right into the book of the hour. You know, every episode encompasses a book. Shout out to SVP Book Club, okay? This book is a book that I have had for quite some time. This is a book that took quite some time to get through, if I'm being perfectly honest, okay? Leading with vulnerability, which is rooted in trust, right? It was hard for me to crack this open with an open heart and an open mind. Because again, like I said, I'm someone that battled with trust. So I'm not telling you anything that I think that you're thinking and feeling. I know these are your thoughts and I know these are your feelings because we've all been let down, hurt, betrayed, abandoned, abused, right? And sometimes in scenarios that we didn't see it coming, right? Or with people that we never thought would do it, right? But this book, and it's by Iyanla Vanzant, right? Fix Your Life, My Life, Our Lives, right? Iyanla is someone that is very important, not just to the world, but to our community, okay? I speak to all people, I speak to all humans, but I think when it comes to my own categories, as Black people, we have a lot of mistrust with one another. As women, we have a lot of mistrust with other women and with men and with ourselves, right? So with Iyanla Vanzant being a Black woman of her own right, right? I really trust what she says, right? And I trust that she's coming from a place of non-judgment because she really wants to help us through how she's been able to help herself. So again, this is a book that I've had. It's a #1 New York bestseller, right? It is titled by Iyanla Vanzant, Trust, Mastering the 4 Essential Trusts, which is trust in yourself, trust in God, trust in others, and trust in life. Okay. If you've seen this book and you haven't gotten a chance to read it, right? It's sitting on your bookshelf, right? You need to crack it open. If you have never had your hands on this book or you don't have it in your mobile device to read, to listen to, I suggest that you download it. Again, you can go to SVP Podcast Book Club, right, on YouTube, and you can find the book for a very good price. And believe me, it's an investment. Okay. So again, trust, mastering the 4 essential trusts. Now, the reason why this was a hard read for me is because I naively used to really think trust was an outward situation. I always thought trust was an external factor when really, and it speaks about this in the book, you have to go in because that's the only way you're going to get out. The only way out is in. Okay. A lot of the mistrust that you believe, that you think, that you have convinced yourself that you have on the outside is stemming from something on the inside. Right. And while, yes, right, let's play devil's advocate. I hate a victim mentality, but we're going to call a thing what it is. A lot of people have been victimized. A lot of people's thoughts and feelings are not their thoughts and feelings. So a lot of people have placed a mistrust in you, but you water it every day. You grow it. You grow it and you have to take accountability for it. And the only way out is to go in. So when you feel like I can't trust anyone, let's start with the one, which is you. And when you learn to trust you more, and that is what I am on the road of conquering, right? I don't care what other people do. I care about what I do. And I care so much that it sometimes disables me or it enables me, right? If I can't trust me, I can't trust anyone, okay? So let's first start with the format of the show. Again, welcome any newbies, right? New listeners, new watchers, new subscribers. Let's start off with the facts, right? So Cambridge Dictionary defines trust as a firm belief in character, ability, strength, and or truth of someone or something. Okay, so trust is defined as a firm belief, firm, stationary, grounded in the character, in the ability, in the strength, and the ultimate truth of someone or something. Okay, now because I love a good wordplay, right? The other definition of trust, right? Everyone loves money, right? You don't have it because it can't trust you. But that's a different episode. Again, we'll get into the money episode. The money episode is probably going to come this season for everyone that's waiting. But another definition of trust provided by the IRS, right? The Internal Revenue Service. A trust is a relationship in which one holds title to property, subject to an obligation to keep or use the property for the benefit of another, right? So now we're getting into real money beyond paper money, right? Right. We're getting into when someone has a trust fund, right? Shout out to the trust fund babies, right? But I love that term because a lot of us that probably do have the money to set up a trust for our loved ones, right? That we should trust, right? We don't do it because ultimately we want to either be selfish, right? And keep all of our money to ourselves. Or if you do have something to leave to someone, right, you put it up in a situation that allows them, right, to have certain things or to be a certain someone, but it takes a level of trust of yourself, your financial discipline, your own hard work, your effort, your ideas, your creativity to even set something like that up. And I love the wordplay on that because, again, money is not real. Hate to tell you that. Money is not real. Okay. It's an energy, it's a frequency, it's a vibe, right? It's a spirit that comes through and has to set up. It's a certain level of a frequency, a vibe, an energy, right? That sets up an optimal environment for you to be financially free. There's a certain frequency, an energy, a vibe that sets up an optimal environment for you to ultimately be free beyond finance. Okay. So pivoting into quotes, right? Let's give some good quotes. We love a good quote here at SVP. And these quotes to me, dealing with trust, were one very intriguing because they're quotes that I've never heard of. So maybe you haven't heard of them. And if you have heard of them, it's a sign and a symbol, right? That you need to maybe incorporate it. So our first quote is from Albert Einstein, right? Going back to money is not real, right? Money is a riches, right? And so is your intellectual property, right? So Albert Einstein, we know him to be a very smart man. He had to believe and trust in his own abilities. Albert Einstein is quoted, every kind of peaceful corporation is primarily based in mutual trust. Every peaceful, like trust is peace and peace is trust. So when you don't have trust, you don't have peace, right? When you don't have peace, you don't have cooperation. You don't have cooperation, you don't have a corporation, okay? And I know we're talking about personal, but if we pivot to the professional, a colleague of mine said something powerful when we were doing a touch base. She's a respective executive in a particular region, and we were talking about talent and acquiring and retaining talent on our team. And she said something powerful about trust. She said that regardless of how people feel in the industry, especially of sales, she says that she will never hire someone that she can't trust as a friend. Right. And I thought that that was powerful because a lot of people that are someone's leader or boss, they feel like, oh, I can't be your friend. Yet everything is rooted in relationship. And even when you love someone, it could be your own family, it could be an intimate partner. The root of that is friendship, right? And some type of trust and respect. But when she said that she wouldn't hire someone that she couldn't trust, I doubled down, right? Put a wow on top of a wow. And I said, I don't hire people that can't trust themselves. Because the leader I am, I don't believe in micromanaging. If I can't leave you to do the task, right? And I think a lot of people have to have more trust in themselves. A lot of people, they say they don't want to be micromanaged, but they do. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to like my boss or my boss don't have to like me. You do want that. And you want that not because that's what you deserve. You want that because you want them to kind of hold your hand. And when someone doesn't hold your hand or hold you up all the time, you take that as in they don't like me, when really it just may be that they trust you to get the job done. So if they trust you and they're your leader, you should trust that they maybe know something that you don't know, right? So I love that quote by Albert Einstein because it does connect to the personal and the professional. Second quote by George MacDonald. To be trusted is a greater compliment than to be loved. There is no love without trust, and there is no trust without love. Everyone running around wanting to be loved. Everyone, I want someone to love me. Why doesn't someone love me? I want love. I deserve love. It's not a compliment. Most people don't even have the correct definition of love or execution of it. I don't want love. And everyone loves to say, I don't need love. I want respect. I want respect. At the root of respect is a trust. For me to respect you will require for me to trust you. I would have to trust in who you are in order to respect you. And I think that's what hardens our hearts when someone isn't what we expected them to be. And then we think, oh, I can't trust people because this person let me down. No, you let you down when you held that person to a standard that, one, you don't hold yourself to. Two, right? That's unrealistic to the expectation of the situation in totality, right? So instead of you being hyper focused on someone loving you and you loving someone, if you are around something or someone and trust your gut, guide under the tummy. Your gut is your guide under the tummy. When something does not feel right, you should start trusting that. You don't trust that. You don't trust it. And then you're surprised when something doesn't turn out the way you want it. Third quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Our distrust is very expensive. I'll repeat that, and I quote, distrust is very expensive. It costs you so much more to not have trust, right? We hear that like it costs you more to be negative than positive. It takes more out of you to be angry and mad than it is to be happy and joyful. To not have trust and lead with you being on edge and on defense about everything and being offended by everyone, it costs you so much. It costs you opportunity. It costs you your own freedom, because you're arresting not only everyone around you in the situation who shouldn't be charged, but it's ultimately a sentence for yourself. Because again, to run around, right, to sit around and not trust this and not trust him and not trust her and not trust this and that, and ultimately yourself, again, it starts with you and it will always end with you. It's expensive and it's costing you so much, so much. The last quote before we jump into the book, right, is by Miss Iyanla Vanzant. And she is quoted in the book by saying, the core ingredient of trust is vulnerability. The core ingredient of trust, right? You try to mix it up and master it and, oh my God, it needs to have this. And for me to trust you, it needs to be like this. And then, no, you just need to be vulnerable. You need to unveil. You need to fall. Okay? You still with me? You still with me? I hope you're still with me. So I'm going to jump into some takeaways from the book before I give you my insight, not just about the literature, but just overall about the concept of trust, some of my own personal takeaways of what trust has taught me and what not trusting, mistrusting, distrusting has also cost me. Let's go. Do you have a book? Do you have a story? What I love about literature, I believe that words are our experiences that are attached to our soul. If you are an author and you want your book broadcast and actually promoted on Sentimental Value Podcast, be sure to contact us at sentimentalvaluepodcast.com, and please let us know what your book is about and what you want readers to know a little bit more, not just about you, but about themselves. We look forward to checking out your book. All right, guys. So I know that first segment was like, wow, she's really intense this episode. I am, because it's really serious. When people talk about trust, people coddle and baby people a little too much, right? Oh, I can understand why you don't trust. So I feel that way too. It's really mind blowing how people have no sense of accountability when it comes to trust, because when the topic and the conversation is had, it's always outwardly about other people and giving reasons, right? Justifying why you shouldn't trust other people. And we're going to get into why you actually should trust other people. And guess what? When you trust other people, it doesn't matter which way it swings on the pendulum. It doesn't even matter, right? Because when you're so rooted in trusting who you are, trusting God's plan, and trusting life's way of working it out for you every time, all the time, it won't even matter what other people do, right? So, going back to the book, trust is the basis of every relationship. Okay? Every relationship, the relationship with yourself, first and foremost. Every friendship is rooted in trust. Every relationship, and that's the one everyone focuses on primarily, intimate relationships, and even with your family. A lot of people learned how to not trust people through their family, which is actually quite sad because it should be the opposite. Your family should be teaching you how to trust. Your family should challenge your ability to trust. You know, I love that game, and I don't know if you guys remember, a lot of people played it as children, but if you go to even some big corporate conferences, they still run this drill because it's a powerful tool to one, team build and to reveal things about yourself, is that trust fall. You know what I'm talking about? Like that trust fall where literally you just met someone at the seminar 5 minutes ago, and now you're supposed to trust that when you turn your back and you fully let go of all of your weight, that they're gonna hold you. I have a beautician. Shout out to the girl that does my locks. She told me a story that I always held on to. She said that even when she was a child and she used to do that activity in her classroom, she would get in a lot of trouble from her teacher because she would never fall. She would literally get into like a argument and maybe even have a disciplinary action because she wouldn't participate in the activity. And that is when, right? I think any service provider, right? Big shout out to anyone that provides a service. You do hair, you do nails, makeup, whatever service that you provide. One, you're so connected spiritually with your client, and that's why you have the right to deny access of a client that doesn't serve you, even though you're the person that's serving as well, because it's an exchange of energy. But I find myself very connected with my service providers. One, because I trust you to play in my head and on my fingernails and in my face, right? But I also trust that you could trust yourself. And my heart went out to her when she told me that, because I identified that like no one's business. But this was my scenario. Let's flip it. I always did well with that activity in the classroom. When I go to the corporate conference and someone I just met 5 minutes ago, I'll fall in their arms. I couldn't do it with my own family, friends, and partners. And that was my aha moment where it's like, these are the first people we should be falling into, but they're also some of the first and last people we fall out with. Right? And then the first thing we say when it doesn't go right, we say, well, we knew it. I knew I couldn't trust you. I knew, well, if you knew you couldn't trust them and you engaged, who shouldn't you really trust? Yourself, right? It's essential to have trust, right? Because without it, we have nothing at all. And it's such a powerful thing when you do lead with trust, because it's a pure display of a confidence. Someone who can trust is confident. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, because I used to feel like, oh, just because I don't trust doesn't mean I'm insecure. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Especially when it starts and ends with yourself, because it's a reflection of your own self-esteem, your own self-worth, your sense of self, right? And the ultimate relationship that you have, which is your moral compass of every relationship that you're going to have with other people. Iyanla in the book, these are going into a few takeaways. She's quoted by saying, trusting humans is important because it allows not only for us to learn, but for them to learn. For them to learn. When you trust someone, they even learn more about themselves. Because it's like, wow, they trust me? Because everyone says that they want people to trust them, but they really don't. Because to trust someone is an expectation. To trust someone is a standard. To trust someone is, going back to the definition, it is an obligation. It is an agreement, right? She also says, when you live in trust and faith, what everyone says and does, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. I had to learn that when people disappoint me, that's not real unless I'm disappointed in myself. If I know that I led with trust, I led with love, I led with light, I did all that I could, right? When someone lets me down, I don't feel sorry for me. I feel sorry for that person that couldn't do what I did. And I feel sorry for them, not out of just pure pity and judgment. I feel sorry for them because I know that all too well. I know that all too well. When someone disappoints us, when someone betrays us, again, it's more so of what they're dealing with and what they have. And when they do it, we take so much offense by it and become so defended with the person that comes behind them. We don't even see anything beyond that person in that situation. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but sometimes, again, when you don't have faith in God, first and foremost, you set up an environment that lets the devil run wild. You literally put him in the play. You put him in the game. Because to love God is to trust all, to trust all. So when you come into a situation like, I don't know, it's Satan himself. And it shows up in the scenarios. It shows up in the significant other. It shows up in the situation, right? You've been praying and begging God, right, for the job. And then when someone reaches out, I don't know if this is real. This seems too good to be true. It's a scam. You just scammed yourself. You just conned yourself out of a situation that was supposed to be your biggest blessing. But because you don't trust that you're all deserving of things, because you don't trust that you can actually have something that's better than good, that's greater than great, you throw it away, right? So pivoting into the 4 levels of trust, I want to jump into the first one, which is most importantly, trusting God, right? Trusting God. And how do you do that? How do I do that, Cedrinna? How does Cedrinna do that, right? I have 5 ways that you can trust in God. First and foremost, you need to spend time with him. You need to spend time with him. You don't know him, and that's why you don't trust him. He trusts you. He trusts that you're going to do everything you're going to do. And guess what? He loves you regardless. He going to forgive you before you even do the mistake, right? But you're not spending time with God, so you don't know him, right? You may spend time with him every Sunday for a couple of hours when it's the segment of the service that you enjoy, the singing and the dancing, right? You singing songs that you don't even know are hymns and old Negro spirituals and all that stuff. You don't even know. You just saying it. And praise God you are saying it because it's giving you the covering for the week. But as soon as the pastor start cracking open that book and get into some scripture, then now you want to make it about the person. And I don't trust this pastor. It's not about that. It's not even about that, right? You need to spend time with God outside of Sunday for a couple of hours. You need to lock yourself in a room and you need to pray and you need to meditate. And I know that's scary, right? Because again, a lot of people don't like to be alone. So they don't want to sit down in a corner. They don't want to go into the closet. But really, you're never alone when you have God. But if you don't trust that, what do you really have, right? 2, you need to lean in to the hurt and the pain. That's how you trust God. You lean into the hurt and the pain. My favorite thing to hear from especially a Christian, because you know better, right? And that's what separates people who practice religion and people who really have a relationship with God. When people start trusting God, 1, you don't question him, not because he's just almighty and powerful and you should be afraid of him. No, you shouldn't question what you really trust. Right? But then also, I love to hear people say, I literally love it. It gets my gears going. When people say well, if God loved me, why would he do this? Why am I suffering? Why am I in pain? Because that's the only time he get a little bit of attention from you. It's the only time, and probably the only thing that keeps you close to him. That's why some things I hate to tell you, trust in this. I'm telling you this, you could take it to the bank, you could cash it, and you could put it in the trust, right? Like for your future generations. Some things God just not going to totally fix. He not going to totally fix it. You could trust in that. Some things he's going to leave, right? He going to make it a little bit better, but he know if he totally eradicate it, you gone. And some things he has to keep on you and in you because it's the only thing that's gonna keep you close to him and keep you believing and keep you trusting. 3, you need to confess the unbelief and you need to ask for help. We don't have time to be playing in God's face. He already knows. And I think that's why a lot of people are afraid to like have that time with him because you know you can't lie to him. You really shouldn't be lying to yourself because you was there and you know what you did and you know what you said and you know what happened. But we're humans, we're flawed, so we'll lie to ourselves. I used to be one of them. I don't know if you guys remember that from season 1. I love a good lie. Not anymore because I want a good life. Like I can't have a good life with a good lie. Right? And I had to really start addressing why would I be more inclined to believe the lie, right? The devil is a lie, right? Instead of just leaning into God's truth, it's because until I was able to really confess like certain things, I am scared to give to you, not because I think you would judge me and not understand, because once I have to bring it to you, then I have to bring it to myself. And then I have to face it. And then again, going back to the perfectionist thing, nothing and no one is perfect but God. So when you have to ask for help, and I noticed when I started really asking God for help, like, God, I can't do this alone. And we're not talking about extremities of certain things that I would be damned and sentenced to hell. I'm talking about little stuff like, God, help me to just have a good day. Let me have a day and not let a day have me. God, help me with my attitude today. God, help me with my temper today. Help me with my patience today, God. Because guess what? I don't have it all. I don't have it all. And thank God I don't, because that's a lot of responsibility. I don't have it all. So let me give it to the person that can hold it all. And let me confess that I don't know if I'm going to have a good day, but you know what I do know? I know that all power is in your hands. And I know if I ask you to help today, you're going to help today. And if I can get a little help on tomorrow, I'll appreciate that too. Throwing that in the overflow. 4, practicing gratitude. Everyone loves an attitude of gratitude. You're so ungrateful with God, and that's why you don't trust him. Because you so hyper focused on what didn't go right, you don't even see what went good. You don't even trust that everything that he derailed actually set you up for success. You don't even trust in that. You don't trust that all things are going to work for your good. You don't trust that his ways are not our ways. So yeah, he's going to do some stuff that maybe is going to kind of look like it's the devil. And you giving stuff to him that he's not even owed. The devil sitting in the corner like, dang, she gonna, I could never think of that, but thank you. But thank you. And even when you give it to the devil, God still get the glory at the end. I ask God every day, my prayer, 1, keep me close, right? Forgive me before I'm sorry, right? And then keep me with an attitude of gratitude. Keep me in a level of really appreciating everything that I have and everything that I don't have. Thank you, God, for what you give me and what you take away, because I trust it and I trust it all. Last but not least, how you trust in God is to serve others, right? So anyone that's in service and hospitality, you have a job that's connected to you doing something for someone, that is where and when God shows up. That's why some of those people are the most blessed, even if they don't see it, right? How many times do we see on social media people that work in a customer-facing job, they have a bad day, and then that's when the blessing comes? That's why you have to stay in a vibration and a frequency of trusting, right? Trusting that, yes, I had 10 terrible customers, but I might have one good customer that will outweigh 100 okay customers, right? You have to trust that by serving other people. And that also requires for you to trust. You have to trust that, you know what? I trust I'm going to do my best and I'm going to trust that they're going to appreciate this. I'm going to trust that, they're going to be happy with this, right? But again, if you don't believe that he wants you happy, then you can never make anyone else happy. If you don't trust in him, even if you're telling someone you should really trust me, you should really trust me. That's why God gets to showing them signs and symbols in their dreams and all these different stuff, because he knows. He knows, and he wants to trust us, right? He trusts us even when we don't trust ourselves, but we don't do God the honor that he's due when we don't trust him first, which ultimately will lead us to trusting ourselves. Trust in yourself. Trust in yourself. Before we even talk about other people, again, this is a podcast that's going to reveal more of you to you. Okay? When you fix your mouth, because I used to be one of those people, when you fix your mouth and say, oh, but they, oh, because he, well, she, what did you do? What did you do? I ask myself all the time. It doesn't matter if the situation just totally is like, yeah, this person dead wrong. And guess what? Two things can be true at once. That person is dead wrong. But what did I do? And sometimes the simplistic thing that I did wasn't that I trust that person, right? It's the simple fact of it just didn't work out. I tried it. I attempted. And the only failure that you have is a non-attempt. That's the only failure. That literally is the only failure. So 5 ways, right, that you could trust in yourself. And we're going to go a little quick with this because I really want to cover a totally separate episode on this, because this is something that I really think that requires a totally different hour, 60 minutes. It might be a 90-minute. It might be a part 1, part 2. Right? Because we all got a little bit of both, right? We all got a light and a dark. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, you might have a little double crazy on you, right? So 5 ways that you can trust in yourself: self-compassion, and be kind to yourself. You're nasty with others because you're nasty with yourself. Can't give someone what you don't have. And you don't have it, quote unquote, to give to other people because you don't practice having it with yourself. Every time you get it for yourself, you throw it away. That's why it's very quick for you to throw away other people or to always feel like someone's throwing you away. Maybe it's not about you, because it never is with other people. Other people are living their own mistrust and distrust in themselves. So again, when they do something that makes you feel like I can't trust them, they can't trust themselves. So they need to go on a self journey, and so do you, right? 2, spend time alone to figure out what your values are and what your boundaries are. I really believe people that don't have boundaries, it's because they don't trust themselves. Because if you trust yourself to set up parameters, boundaries are beautiful. Boundaries are a form of self-care. Self. But when you don't set that up, you don't trust in yourself, and you don't set a boundary because you want to put it off on other people. You want to put it off on other people. 3, trusting yourself by acknowledging and letting it go. Let it go. Oh my, let it go. Let it go. Whatever it is, let it go. And when I say let it go, I don't mean let it go because it didn't matter. Let it go because it didn't hurt. Let it go because it wasn't that big of a deal. I need you to let it go because it is that big of a deal. I need you to let it go because it does matter what's on the other side of it. What's on the other side of it. Because if you hold on to it, you still hold on to that person. You still hold on to that thing, and you rob yourself of space and capacity for yourself. So you have to let it go. Okay? 4, how you show trust in yourself is by seeking support. You cannot do it on your own, right? And seeking support, even outside of God, means trusting that God will send someone. Trusting yourself to maybe believe that the person that you needed that really could support and believe you and push you and hold you up and hold you down is right there. But again, if you can't see it, you won't see it. You won't see it. You have to seek support. You know when you get to that point. That is what, if you know, you know. right? Don't even need to be said. When you're at that point, when you don't trust yourself, you need to seek support. Okay. And there's so much power in community. It's so much power in community. Last but not least, trust in self by creating a healthy routine. We love a good ritual. We love a good ritual, especially in the morning. You should have one in the morning and at night, right? So even if you don't do skincare and you don't do your hair and you don't do all this fancy stuff, right? You should at least have a ritual in the morning, whether that's getting up, writing something down, your first thoughts. Someone very close to me told me this a year ago, and it's been a game changer for me. They said, as soon as you get up, just write it out. Whatever it is, just write it out. Get it out, right? Not only will I write out whatever my thoughts are, I jump into the Bible. I read a devotion. I read something that energizes me for the day. I get outside. I don't care if it's sunny, hot, or it's cold and gloomy. I get outside. I stretch, right? And then most importantly, what I've started to do in the morning, at night, and it's pivotal, is instead of you always waking up, checking your phone to see if someone texts you or going to sleep and seeing if somebody responded back to you, sometimes give what you want to get. Wake up and motivate someone else in the morning, right? Wind down your day and pour something into someone because you don't know what the day took out of them. And you might have to be on the other end of that. And again, the universe keeps score, right? So until you sow into the earth, it will never unfold for you. We're going to cut to a little quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with the other two topics. Let's go.
Bold means owning your power. It's also radiating a certain strength and also inspiring others to do the same. To me, it is not just a word. It is literally a lifestyle, a mindset, and also a commitment to always striving for greatness while staying true to who you are. My goal is basically to redefine what it means to be comfortable and stylish. I want to add that extra touch of flair. I want this collection to pretty much serve as a reminder to women that they can dominate their day no matter where they are or what they're doing. It's about creating pieces that transition seamlessly daily, from a workout to a work day, to the airport, going out for a casual walk or restaurant, all while boosting confidence and celebrating their inner bold boss. This collection is just the beginning of building a community of women who live life while looking good.
All right, you guys. So I want to kind of give you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes. If you see me looking up, it's because I have this beautiful display that shows me what I look like. And I look kind of cute. I mean, I look cute in the other episodes, but I look really cute. Something about when I wear black, and I notice I always wear black on the episodes that like hit really, really hard. One, I think black is power, but I don't know. I think it's just the energy of everything. So yeah, shout out to the camera guy. Okay, so pivoting back into trust, right? And the reason why I'm referencing this, typically I shoot with either me being able to see it directly, right, in front of me, or I will set up a mirror. Shout out to my past photographers, Chicago to Atlanta to Detroit to LA and New York. You guys know I'm a sucker for seeing the picture, right? But I'm also leading with trust, right? To believe not just one, that I look good, right? But that other people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I also believe in the trust, right? Of if it's not right, they would either not hit play or they would be like, hey, we need to cut this, right? So I also want to encourage anyone, whether you record visually, audio wise, right, with your engineer, whatever you do that requires more than you, applause to you because you're doing something big, but also have trust in your team, right? Have trust in your team. I come from corporate America, right? Amazon is not just Jeff Bezos, okay? Tesla is not just Elon Musk, right? And that doesn't make them better than anyone on their team. Actually, it makes them their best by having a team. But it's very important that we trust in each other as colleagues, right? And understanding, right? And I know I'm getting like hella professional right now, but it really needs to be said for those that are either trying to go into, whether that's a corporate structured job or you're trying to embark on an entrepreneur endeavor. You need to trust your team. You also need to trust your leader, right? You need to trust whoever coach, trains, and develops you. You also need to figure out if you're in an executive C-suite position, you are not above being coached, trained, and developed. Nothing is wrong with being corrected out of care, right? Because if someone didn't care about you, they wouldn't correct you, right? But then you also have to realize that position and title and leadership, it looks one way on paper, but when it's live in execution, there is no hierarchy, right? And I really, 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 now that we're going to pivot into trusting others, I wanted to start there because I always say, going back to what me and my colleague were discussing about building a team, before people say, I could never date someone that I don't trust, you work with people that you don't trust. And that's why you can't get tasks and projects done. That's why they're not successful, right? A lot of people think their promotion with their job is a singular thing. No, your promotion is rooted in the people. That's why people that maybe don't perform at the best, but they actually do, kind of fraternize with their team and they go to the holiday parties, or they have a different rapport with the people that are in those positions to make those calls, because there's a different level of trust with someone that has to take place. Okay. So when you're trusting other people, right? You're trusting your coworker, right? That you don't even know if she really deserves her job or does good at her job, because her desk all the way across the way, right? You guys don't even have an office next to each other, right? You have never even really had an individual conversation. You just got somebody in your ear, right? You don't trust your coworker, right? You don't trust your friend of a friend because you really don't even like your friend. And your friend that told you she don't trust this person, or your guy friend that told you he don't really rock with this person. So now you don't trust them, but y'all don't even trust each other. You can trust and believe that you're going to stand around and gossip and nag, and misery loves company, because it's rooted back into how you feel about yourself, right? A lot of us don't trust, right? Our parents and our siblings, right? And our cousins and our aunts and our uncles and our grandparents, not even so much off of maybe actual valid scenarios that have led to us not being able to trust them, but a lot of things in the sense of family is rooted a lot on other people's experiences, right? And other people's takeaways. And I think that you rob yourself of the right of feeling like, oh, well, my mom didn't have a good relationship with her mama, so I don't have a grandmother. Well, you don't, because you just said that you don't have one, right? And no one is perfect. Different people are different people with different people, right? If you have 5, 6, 7 siblings, right? I believe that the way two siblings over here could have a relationship will be totally different than over there. And you have to trust that not one is better than the other or something is right or wrong. It's just different. Trust in the difference of people. And that's why trusting others is such a wide spectrum, because you feel like, okay, well, how this is with one person needs to be how it is with this person. And it's not. You're not even going to be the same in this situation with this person as you would some other place, right? So I'm going to give you 5 ways to help you trust in others better. First and foremost, for efficiency and clarity, you must communicate. You're not talking to God. You're not talking to yourself. So you wouldn't talk to other people. You're not honest with God and you're not honest with yourself. So you wouldn't be honest with other people. You don't know how to listen when God speaks. You don't listen to your gut, your internal moral compass. So, yeah, of course, you're not going to listen to other people. You have an issue with communication. Okay. 2, trust in others by being honest and vulnerable. Like Iyanla said, the key ingredients to trust is being vulnerable. No one likes to be vulnerable. You're so afraid of a scenario that hasn't even happened, or you're afraid of a scenario that happened over here that you think is going to happen over here. And then surprise, it ends up happening because that's what you manifested. You didn't even allow that person and that situation to be that situation with that person, right? And then you're not being honest. You're not being honest saying, you know what? I don't trust type A because type B did this. I don't trust in number 2 because this is the experience that I had with number 1. You just want to categorize and group everyone together, and everyone is not the same. Praise God. Everyone is not the same. You aren't even the same. You're not the same person today as you were yesterday. You're not going to be the same a year from now. So why are you thinking one season a whole decade or two ago is going to show up again? If it shows up, it's because you are time traveling every day, in every situation, in every conversation, in every interaction. And start being honest with yourself and vulnerable with, no, you know what? I don't trust. And going back to communication, if you just tell someone, you know what, I don't trust you, instead of lying to them and you and, oh yeah, I trust you. And then as soon as they are human and they have a mistake, I knew better than not to trust you. Just tell someone, I don't trust you. And if, because trust is love, either that person, right, is going to give you mercy and grace and say, you know what, if you're the type of person that looks at the glass as half empty, I will fill you up. Because guess what? They do trust in God and they do trust in themselves. So they have a little overflow to give you. They have something that ultimately you don't even think that you deserve, because if you did, you would give it to yourself, right? 3, how you trust in others is by admitting to your mistakes. You're so quick trying to find, where's Waldo? You trying to find everyone else's mistake and you can't admit your own. You can't even admit your own. You know, I would rather trust in someone that is not perfect than to be blind and naive and really want to believe and trust that someone is perfect, because it's not real and it's not true. It's not real and it's not true. And until we start to really realize that people are humans and we make mistakes, and that margin of error is how we learn. Hint, hint. Next episode will be on the book Margin of Error, right? Because it's so much to learn in error. But you so scared to be wrong, you will never figure out what right looks like. You will never find right. Right? And you'll never be right with others until you start admitting your own wrongs and then really being honest and communicating and saying, you know what? I was wrong. You know what? I didn't really do this right. You know what? Even though I didn't like this that you said, I could have done this better. Until you start really getting honest with yourself and admitting those mistakes, you'll never be able to trust in other people and they'll never trust you. 4 and 5 are linked to one another and they're really like 1 plus 2, right? To trust in others, you need to follow through with action. You need to follow through with action. I trust you. Prove it. Prove it. Prove it. Step out on the edge. Jump. Fall. If you really trust, follow through with actions. You could trust that a lot of people do a lot of talking. Too much of it. I want to trust with what you show me. I believe nothing that I hear and I believe everything that I see. Okay? So if I don't see a reason for me to trust you, if I'm not giving you an action display where you can see that you can trust me, there's no trust between us. And 5, right? When you have the action, you need to follow up with some type of reaction and response. Going back to communication, it's a two-way street. This is not a monologue, it is a dialogue. Trust is going to require, right, for us to have the action, right? I say, prove it. After you say, I trust you, you should trust me. And then after your action display, there should be some type of conversation that says, you know what, you landed the plane. Good job. Or there should be a conversation that says, I don't know, I honor that you think that you did. And you know, if you think that you did your best, okay, but let's move the needle a little bit. Okay? Those conversations are so key because until you have them, you'll be constructing something that ultimately will destruct. If you do not have those clear, concise conversations, going into trusting someone, within the process of trusting them or not trusting them, right? And having those exit interviews. I like to call them exit interviews. A lot of people need to start having exit interviews, right? At a corporate job, if you know, you know, HR, when they hire you, whether they fire you or you leave, most of the time it's when you choose to leave, they do want to know. And that's how you know the culture of a company, when they want to know what they could have done better or where they went wrong or what your thoughts and feelings are. Same thing with the business of a marriage, right? A partnership intimately, and knowing where it went wrong and where it could have went right or just went better. Okay. Last but not least, last category, we covered trusting yourself. We covered trusting God. We covered trusting others. Last but not least, trusting in life. What do you think that means? All right, we'll cue some music. We'll cue some music. What do you think trusting in life means? Staying in the present moment. I guarantee if you even attempted to even think of something during that little time of waiting, you went right back to where you're comfortable, which is really where you're uncomfortable, which is in your past and when what didn't go right, and what you didn't like. And yeah, trusting in life is being aware of what's going on right now. Trusting that right now is the only thing that is happening. What's happening is the best that can happen right now. And even if you feel like what's happening right now isn't the best of what could be happening, you still gonna do the best with what you got. And that's a different level of mental muscle. That's a different level of mastery. Okay? Mistrust is the only thing that you can control, and that's why you do it. Mistrust is the only controllable in the situation, in the formula. And that's why you do it. Because you don't want to let go. Let go. Let God. Let life take its course. You don't want to do that, because for you to trust would mean you would have to relinquish the control. And you don't want to do that. I get it. I was there. I was there. So it's easy to like not be in the present moment. And then I also want to leave you with this right before we close out. Life is good. I know you guys only say it when you hear Future and Drake singing, right? But life is good. Life is good. And even when life is going bad, all things will work for your good. All things will work for your good. But again, you don't trust me, right? you don't trust me, you don't trust yourself, you don't trust nothing. All you trust is YouTube, right? You trust this YouTube, you trust Apple, your iPhone that you holding. You trust all of that, but you're not gonna trust the main four things that's tied to you, which is yourself, your own body, your own brain, your own heart, your own mind, your life, what you're living, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, God, who's there with you when no one is there with you, and then the people that you allow to be there for you, or maybe don't. I'm getting on them tonight. But no, sincerely, because again, and I've been there, and I'll close here, right? I'll let Iyanla fix your life. I'll let her get on you, okay? We have to get you on the show. But honestly, the trusting in life is something that becomes so much easier when you master those other three, because your life is encompassing of that, right? You, the creator, and everything else that he created beyond you. And it's all an ecosystem. They all work together. They all work for your good. Life is good. Okay, because if it's not good, then it's not happening. You're here. You're here. And that's a great thing. And you are a great thing. You're literally a great thing. My favorite thing to tell people in on a 9 to 5, if no one has told you, I'm telling you, you're doing a great job. Outside of 9 to 5, that's only 1/3 of your 24-hour day. Some people only do a good job on that 9 to 5 because you want the money. But a lot of you are not touching money that you could be touching way beyond that 9 to 5, because you don't know how to master the other 2/3 of your day. You allow that 1/3 from the 9 to 5 to go bad. So then you just say, screw the whole day. And it nails you to the wall every time. it come down on you like a hammer every time. Every time. So I really want you guys to really start mastering the level of trust. As soon as you are somewhere with something, whether it's familiar or not, and you're having that, oh my God, I don't trust this. One, do you trust yourself? Do you trust God? Forget the other people and forget how life is taking its course. Let's start with those two and let's pivot. If you are someone who really going back to seeking help, and again, as we continue with the podcast, I'm going to get out in the streets with you guys, right? Coming to a city near you. I want to build the relationship and the rapport even with me, right? And coming from behind the mic and in front of the camera. And I really need to get almost like I'm in your ear now, right? Remember to rate the podcast on the streaming platforms. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead. If you don't want to give me the subscribe, at least give me the like. Give me the like or give me a comment below and let me know out of those 4 categories, which one is your top and which one is your bottom, right? If you want to put them in ascending or descending order, please do. Again, it's a safe space. Sincerely, I love you. Sincerely, I'm proud of you. Sincerely, none of us are perfect. Sincerely, but we are here and we are together, okay? So if you don't already follow me on all my social media platforms, I am Sincerely Cedrinna, and I am your host of Sentimental Value Podcast. Again, we're in season 3, baby. Season 3. Please be sure to make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and make sure you comment and catch us on the next episode. Bye.